The way he angles his body, where he puts all of his body weight on his left hand and just extends just enough to just scrape the pylon. Those are the plays that decide Super Bowls. That's why every single time, I always talk about it, guys, at the beginning of the season, if the team is just good enough around Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That isn't something that should just be done every week. No one in the history of football makes plays like this every week outside of Patrick Mahomes.
I want to thank all the talking heads and all the doubt. Yep. Keep it coming. Like, all it does is anytime you can give petty Mahomes the motivation, bro, I'm all for it. That's why I was excited when, all these people were saying these things. It's like, bro, let's go.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling boosted and juiced by it, can you imagine what he's feeling?
We are live, therefore it is time. It is the Chat of the Chiefs postgame show. I am your host, Lance Twidwell, with my co-host, Trevor Twidwell.
That's good.
And 9-year NFL veteran, Vaughn Booker.
What's happening?
Vaughn, Trev, I feel that we owe our viewing and listening audience what we give them every single week on this show, on The Spoken, on any show that any of us three are on. And that's the brutal truth, that's the honesty, that's the authenticity of what we believe, what we see, and what we take away from games each and every week. Trevor and I came on the Spoken podcast just a little over 24 hours ago and talked about how this game against the Bills, a 6-6 desperate Bills team, was going to be what defines the outcome of the Chiefs season. Even though there are 4 more games for the regular season, we're expecting and anticipating the Chiefs are going to make the playoffs. Even though that is now in question, legitimately. This was going to be the game that tells me what is and what isn't when it comes to what this Chiefs team is made of. You guys know all along what I have told you, what I warned you about when it came to this wide receiver room. And I told you that this team can, in my opinion, overcome this wide receiver room. It's never going to get better. It's not going to be fixed this year. It's going to have to be something they work on in the offseason. But I do believe this team could overcome it. And this was the single most important game left on their schedule. Because this is a team that could very well make the playoffs in the Bills now. A team that has somewhat of the Chiefs' number, at least in the regular season. And this is their last true challenge on their schedule. And we saw from the beginning that the Chiefs brought more of the same. Offensively, and over this last month, the defense was more of the same to start the game. I was hoping, I was anticipating that this team was going to come out here with some pride, some dignity, some want to, some need to, some have to. And they had none of it. And the Bills jumped to a 14-0 lead. Now, the defense started to play better. I even tweeted it out during halftime that the Chiefs' defense was playing so good, I confidently put out there that they're not going to allow another touchdown. And guess what? They didn't. They allowed 2 field goals for the entire second half. And the offense still could not get the lead. The best they could do was tie this game up with minutes remaining. And we started to feel like the momentum was starting to shift, and the Chiefs have a real chance to win this game. And Trevor and I, and I'm sure Book, even though Book, I know he predicted the Bills to lose, I know that if Book saw this, and I want to speak for him, and he'll say it for himself, but if the Chiefs were to win this game, it was going to be ugly. It was going to be tense. It was going to be close. Trevor and I expected that as well. And what did we see on this single most important play of this game and of the regular season? A wide receiver screwed their team over. It's the same wide receiver that had tip drill parties in week 1 against the Detroit Lions when the Chiefs lose by 1 point when he gave them a pick 6. Kadarius Toney, who was going to be a hero on a wild, amazing, historic play that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce perfectly delivered to his hands. Travis Kelce throwing the backwards lateral right to Toney. Toney goes into the end zone. We think this game's going to be won by the Chiefs. And we go to the replay, and we see that Kadarius Toney had half his foot over the line of scrimmage. He went from being a hero to the offensive version of D Ford. Just like that. And I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know how else to tell you guys these things. This wide receiver room continues to screw the Chiefs and lose them games. With drops, penalties, bad execution, bad route running, you name it. It is all occurred, sometimes in the same games, like tonight. This is the L-shaped bed that Brett Veach has the Chiefs laying in now. It's a bed that Brett Veach multiple times could have changed. He chose not to. This falls at the feet, directly at the feet, of the Chiefs GM, Brett Veach. He chose this wide receiver room. And people bought in, said this room is seven deep. And here we are looking at a rookie Rashee Rice being the only guy that has a promise, a sliver of promise in this wide receiver room. And even he put the ball on the ground and cost them a turnover. This team has real problems, and I'm going to be real with you guys. I've for 5 years now have picked the Chiefs to win. For the last 4 years, I've picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. This team is not winning the Super Bowl this year. They have too many issues offensively, and this defense is no longer great. It's still really good. Like I said, that second half held the Bills to 6 points. But they give up too many chunk plays. They give up too many early leads. This isn't a great defense right now. They have been for 8 to 10 weeks. But for the last 3 to 4 weeks, they have not been. And they have to be in order for this team to be a Super Bowl contender. Because this offense is just not good enough. It's not. Yes, Pacheco wasn't out there. Yes, they have other pieces missing. But are we really going to sit here and pretend that that is why they struggled tonight? Does that not look like every single game the offense has had this season against a legitimate team? I don't want to admit it. I don't want to say that. But I told you guys on the spoken, and I'll say it here right now. We even said it last week on Chatting Up the Chiefs. This is going to be the proving ground. This is going to be what tells us what the Chiefs are moving forward. Will they make the playoffs? Yes. Will they get the 1 seed? No. But they'll win. They'll make the playoffs. They'll probably still squeak out the AFC West. Now, the Broncos are only 1 game behind them, which is insane to think about. But is this team going to win a Super Bowl? Is this team Super Bowl worthy? No. They're not. Patrick Mahomes continues to put the ball where it needs to be. He continues to set his guys up for success, and they let him down time after time after time. And look, Carl Sheffers, once again on brand, was terrible tonight. He was terrible. That dude is horrific. I don't know how that man has a job as a zebra in the NFL. I have no idea. He's horrible. But he's not the reason why the Chiefs lost this game. And that's coming from me. No one hates Carl Sheffers more than myself. And I'm telling you right now, this game was lost because, once again, a wide receiver couldn't do the simplest of things in execution and having discipline and an offense they've been in now for 2 seasons. 2 seasons! Kadarius Toney's been here. And this guy can't line up correctly? You're right by the ball, man. You're in the slot. How do you not know? This is a wasted season, man. These are the prime years of Patrick Mahomes. And we're sitting here talking about a team that's lost 4 of their last 5 games. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And I don't know how else to say these things. So I got to hand it off to the guys that are a little bit more logical than I am. Book, I want to get your thoughts on this real quick, and I'm going to hand it off to Trevor as well. What did you take from this game, man, and how do you feel about this team moving forward? Because you did predict the Chiefs were going to lose this game, so I think you were probably a little bit more prepared for this than I was. But I'm at the place now, man, where I'm making peace with the fact that this team doesn't have what it takes to win a Super Bowl. What are your thoughts, Book?
Man, let me tell you something. First of all, it seemed like you stole my notes. So, you know what I'm saying? I totally agree with almost everything you said. I think, once again, for like at least the 3rd or 4th week in a row, we started the game off way too not as ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Tonight was the worst of at least the last 3 weeks that I've seen our defense play in a first half period. I mean, we couldn't stop the run. We got wide receivers running up the sideline, one down the middle for a touchdown. It was just ridiculous. And then on the offensive side of the ball, it was just the norm as usual for the last couple of weeks, to where we expect that now. we surprised when they start to look like a glimpse of how they used to look. I mean, I don't know who's going to show up. Then second half, they get our hopes up. We got a chance. This might be one of those Mahomes moments. And then the guy who could have been a hero killed his own touchdown by lining up off sides, looking directly at the ball. You know what I'm saying? There is no discipline on this team as a team. I think that we've had so much success that the new guys haven't earned the buddy system of the guys that were there. You know what I'm saying? And they trying to fill in these spots without having no credentials whatsoever. You know, so shut the heck up, play football, take what they give us. Another thing, let me tell you something. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't think he should have been our starting running back tonight. I think McKinnon should have been our starter. They should have flipped roles. I like the fact that Tony was in the backfield, kind of like him back there even before Clyde, just because Clyde just so little. He gets no extra yardage. If it's not a big-ass gap that my fat ass can run through, you know, he's getting stopped on contact, thrown back, embarrassingly thrown back, like flipped over.
Yep.
You know, so shit, I like McKinnon starting the game for us. Give him those touches. Let him run up it through the gap and prove himself. He's not fumbled up, you know, running the ball on us. He's made big plays running the ball, and he's good out of the backfield. And then bring Clyde in somewhere down the line as a surprise. You know what I'm saying? But him being our starter, I didn't feel good about that. I think that's what I want to say in a nutshell. You know, like I said, you had most of my notes pretty much checked off.
Yeah, we all watched the same game, so I mean, I feel like the glaring issues were glaring, and I mean, what a swing of emotions for Kadarius Toney tonight. The guy went from possibly being the hero of the game to being the absolute villain and the guy that caused to put the nail in the coffin of the game for us. And I still love Kadarius Toney. I love what he can be, what he's capable of, and what he could be in this offense. But this is it's you know, it's two games that fall at the feet of him. You know, and it's tough. It's tough in the sport of football. It's tough to narrow it down to one thing causing you the game. But both teams had their turnovers. Both teams had their issues. Both teams had their stumbling blocks in this game. So I felt it was a pretty even game as far as how both teams were playing. The Bills started off hot, but the Chiefs overall, both teams played a similar game tonight. And this game falls at the feet of Kadarius Toney because that was the most costly play of the game. And the Chiefs, as bad as they've been offensively, they've been the best 2-minute offense in the entire NFL this year. Go figure. And this was a prime spot for us to go and do what we do best. And Pat, to go be clutch Pat once again, especially against, you know, a rival team that he's beaten in clutch moments, in the biggest moments, and he was on par to do that, and he did do that, and it happened to be taken away from him because the fundamentals of the game are not beat into the heads of these receivers on this team. Discipline is the biggest contributor to our losses this season. It's lack of discipline. I mean, we could talk about, and drops obviously are lumped into what discipline is. Catching the ball is the fundamentals and the discipline that you go through to become a viable offensive weapon in the NFL. And very few guys on this team can do those simple things. And it's at this point of the season, heading into the postseason, I mean, my hopes are very low. I do not have high hopes for this team. I did. I expected a win tonight. I did. I didn't think. I thought it was going to be ugly, which it was. But I did have. I trusted Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes to go get this job done, and they did enough to go get the job done. Andy Reid called a brilliant play to ice this game, and Kadarius Toney blew it for us. The defense. They started off slow. I get it. They gave up 2 early scores. But the defense was incredible from that point on. I mean, they were making even with that ridiculous call that didn't get overturned. That was not a catch to Latavius Murray. That was not a catch. He never cradled that ball. As soon as he went to cradle the ball was out of his hands. That should have been over from there. That drive should have been stalled. We still held him to a field goal. Got the ball back for Pat to go there and do our jobs. You know, Rashee Rice is doing his thing, but he also had a fumble. He still looks incredible. There's a lot of bright spots, but there's just way too many. The Chiefs are a very good team and one of the best teams in football still in my mind, but we just happen to be even better at beating ourselves. right? That's our number one skill set. If there's a number one skill set of this Chiefs team, it's beating ourselves. This is what we're the best at. Because it feels like every single loss, outside of last week, I think the Packers straight up beat us, if I'm being honest, last week. I think we got beat in that game. Outside of that, it's us beating ourselves, man. It's fumbles, it's stupid penalties, it's drops, it's one thing after another. It's every single week. Our defense held this I know it was 20 points, but without that call not being overturned, we held this great offense of the Bills to 20 points, to 17, 20 points, and gave our offense the chance to go out there and win this game, and we did. And we had the chance to, but unfortunately, man, it's doom and gloom right now because we are only one game ahead of Denver, and like me and Lance were talking about before we got on air, it's if Denver came and stole this division from us, would you be that surprised at this point? Because we got Pat losing his shit after the game. I've never seen Pat that animated, going at the refs. As much as I love seeing that passion from Pat, the refs didn't lose this game for us, man. It was execution and discipline. Your whole entire fucking foot was in front of the football when you're lining up, bro. You're in the slot. You're close. You're the closest receiver to the football, and your foot's ahead of the football. How? How can you let that happen? I mean, and honestly, I think some of this is on Kelsey too. Kelsey's got to see his guys lined up. Kelsey's looking down the line too. He's the captain. If you see your guys a whole foot ahead of the football, get on his ass. Tell him, hey, scoot back. No communication, no discipline. This whole team, man, from the top down, it's just lack of communication, lack of execution, and discipline. And this team is not going to make it far in the postseason, unfortunately. I have no hope in us going in there beating the Ravens, because we're going to see one of the better teams. Because who knows, we could be the 5th, 6th seed going into the postseason. If we see the Bills, how confident we are beating the Bills, how confident we are beating the Ravens, or any of these teams, even if it's the Browns. I'm nervous of facing any of these teams in the AFC at this point, man.
And that's the frustrating part.
Yeah.
And in a second, I want to get to the chat because I know that people have a lot of things they want to say. So let's start putting those on the screen and we can react to some of them. And Book, I want to get your thoughts on some of these reactions from our audience. This is the part that pisses me off the most about what's happened with this season. Not just tonight. Tonight, to me, this is just a caricature of what this season has been for this team. Just frustrating loss after frustrating loss in games you should have won. Just due to execution, stupidity from wide receiver play, they lose games they shouldn't be losing. It's the fact that coming into tonight, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, the two biggest threats to the Chiefs to getting to more Super Bowls over these next 5 to 10 years, we're on the outside looking in. They have not been in the playoffs. Joe Burrow's out for the season, right? Josh Allen was 6-6, still on the outside looking in. You beat them tonight. You beat the Bills tonight. That pretty much puts them to bed because they would have to win out and hope for tiebreakers. You would be essentially putting the Bills out of the postseason if you win tonight. And with all these backup quarterbacks playing for AFC playoff teams right now, if this team could just simply get out of their own way, this team could literally walk to the Super Bowl based upon the matchups. But like Trevor just said, the thing that concerns me is if and when they get there, how do we have confidence that this team's going to go out there and put up enough points to beat a team they should walk over? It used to be where you knew the Chiefs would walk into that game and own that team.
Nobody fears the Chiefs right now.
Nobody fears the Chiefs. Yeah. Because you don't even have to beat them. They beat themselves.
Yep, just hang
around
long
They do shit
enough.
like this tonight.
Yep.
Where the Bills literally just sitting there on defense, give up this massive 60-plus yard play that should win the game for the Chiefs, but the Chiefs ended it for them. They're doing half the battle for you. They're working it for you. You don't even have to bring your best game because now the Chiefs find ways to beat themselves. That's what's so frustrating about this. Is we're looking at a team that should have 10-plus victories on the season this year, but have 5 losses, which, by the way, is already the most that Patrick Mahomes has ever had in a season. You guys see him on the sidelines tonight at the end? Losing his shit? That's him. All that's been bottled up. While guys like MVS has been sitting out here deferring and deflecting the blame of him struggling and these wide receivers struggling, Patrick's been the one falling on the sword. He's been the one that's been taking the blame, even though he's been the one that's been putting the ball on the money every damn game. And he's sick of it. Yeah, he took it out on the ref, but that's on it because you saw Patrick say it. And I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, but go look at it for yourself. He literally said, how the fuck were we offsides? How were you offsides? Talking about Kadarius Toney. Because we remember in 2018, that's the reason why Patrick didn't go to the Super Bowl that time, was because of D Ford lining up off sides on a play that Charvarius Ward picked Tom Brady off, which would have put the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. This is why this is such a team game. Book, you know this better than we do. It takes a team to win this shit. Yeah, Patrick is obviously the most important piece, but he's doing his job. What about everybody else? You traded for Kadarius Toney. You told me coming into this offseason he was wide receiver 1. He's a star. Y'all seen a star out there? He's got talent. He looks special at times. But what he's been known for more this season than anything else is him screwing the team. That's what's happening. That's our reality. You can ignore it. You can be a homer. That's fine. But the reality is, this team is showing us in Mahomes' prime years on an opportune year where backup after backup after backup quarterback are starting for playoff teams that you're going to squander it. If that doesn't make you angry, I don't know what to tell you. This should be a season the Chiefs repeat as champions. But because of what Brett Veach did in this wide receiver room, they're sitting here at 8-5, hoping that they can get a few victories at the end of the season to get things rolling. But I have no confidence in that. Sure. And this is why we use this Bills game as a precursor of where they're going moving forward. Because, guys, if you look at the rest of their schedule, the Chiefs should win their last 4 games. But those games aren't going to tell me anything. If the Chiefs go there next week and beat the Patriots, 31-10, is that telling me anything? No, that's a team that's fighting for the first overall pick. You should whoop that team. You should whoop the Raiders. You should beat the Chargers, who may not have Justin Herbert at the end of the season. He got hurt tonight. You should beat those teams. This is a Bills team that is a legitimate threat. A team that you have rivaled with now for more than 3 seasons. You have to win games like this. Sure, let's get to the chat.
I mean, honestly, bro, it's just a lot of agreeing with us, and a lot of this is just some people are talking about the line. The line judge should have been on Kadarius Toney and told him to line up with the ball. But at the same time, guys, these are professional athletes. Kadarius Toney's got to know how to line up. You got to know to look at the ball and line up. You got to know that. That's not on the referees. That's not in no way. I mean, the refs were not great tonight, but in no way am I putting this loss on the refs, bro.
No.
Like there was some questionable that challenge should have been overturned in our favor with that drop pass, in my opinion. Didn't get it. We were still in this game, still had a chance, still should have won this game with the walk-up touchdown in my mind. And the guy that should have been the hero tonight became the villain instantly. And that's the reality of this game. And, man, as far as that, bro, it's just basically on the chat, everyone's just kind of agreeing with you, Lance, and then talking about the antics of Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. People are trying to debate on who he was yelling at, whether it was Matt Nagy or the line judge or the referees. I believe it was the referees. I don't think it was Matt Nagy that he was yelling at, but overall, man, I don't know what to say, man. This game was just kind of a microcosm of what this season has been.
Yes.
It's just us against us every single week, and the lackluster talent and the like I said, I'll go right back to it. Lack of discipline. And that's going to be the end of us in a wasted season. It's definitely seeming to be. Look, can we turn things around? I don't think so. I don't think anything changed. I think we are who we are. I think this is our identity. We are an undisciplined team with receivers that just have not shown the ability to be, willing to be a participant consistently in an offense in the NFL. Outside of Rashee Rice, a guy who I think has blossomed into a possible star moving forward for this team. It's pretty doom and gloom right now, man. But as far as that, the chat, I don't know if you see some on the chat that you want to do, but there's not much.
I wanted to give the people an opportunity here, but I'm going to hand it over to Book for a second because I want to ask him a question from personal experiences. I always want to try to get that in every episode we do. Remembering times of your career, your 9-year career, man. You probably experienced a myriad of emotions from your teammates, yourself, a lot of things. You guys, you've had some heartbreaking losses in your career, and in moments like this, now try to put yourself in that locker room tonight. Obviously you don't want to speak for any other player, but yourself. You played your position, your defensive lineman. You guys held the Bills to 6 points in that second half. And once again, the wide receivers just let you down. And they screw the pooch, man, and you lose another game you shouldn't lose. At what point, because I don't want to see this happen, And I know this locker room is very strong, very unified. You know, Andy Reid is a guy that keeps guys very galvanized, and you know the main thing's the main thing. But man, everybody's human though, and you saw Chris Jones, you know, and the defensive line coach,
Colin.
Yeah, Joe Colin. They're going at it, and I like that fire. I like that because you can tell it means they care, that they're trying to refocus, that they're getting that out, they're venting a little bit. And you saw again the defense started playing better football, but the defense can only do so much. And for me, what I'm worried now moving forward is there being a disconnect between, well, we're doing our job, what the hell y'all doing? Because that resignation exists in every human being. And it can eventually start to spill over because, again, you saw Chris Jones start to burst out. You saw Patrick Mahomes for the first time really start to lash out. That's telling me that things are starting to spill over. And this week, I mean, yes, going to the New England Patriots, you feel pretty good about that matchup. But you can't tell me this team doesn't have some issues in that locker room right now. But maybe I'm wrong. Book, you've been in those rooms before. What does a loss like this do to the mentality of a team like the Chiefs?
Well, first of all, I like to say that as being a former player, I know that when I played, when things went bad for the defense or the offense or special teams, collectively, those groups like to blame themselves. They would like to be the person that rectified the situation that got in the situation in the first place. Now, there has been at least one time in my career that, you know, all that was out the window. You just tired of struggling, and this certain person was a kicker for us, and he just ruined everybody's night. You remember?
Yeah. Trust me, I do. It's the first time I cried as a Chiefs fan.
That was the only time in my whole career that I've ever been in that situation. Otherwise, we're one team. I don't think that we've really lost that aspect of our team yet. Yeah, Pat was going off after the game, but I think we're to that point to where we have to do something different. He has to be different other than just continuously putting these guys in great positions to win games for us. And week after week, we take turns picking on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the defense, they started to turn it around in the second half. We got to stop waiting until the second half. We got to be ready. Everybody we played, I mean, come on, New England, we should be blowing them out the box. But I'm not going to sleep on them because they have absolutely nothing to lose. They beat us, they're going to be hitting their chest like Tarzan. They lose, that puts them in a better position to have a number 1 draft pick. So it is what it is. I'm not sleeping on them. I'm going to go ahead and give you my book right now.
Yeah. Do it, man.
Just because we start the games off so slow, I'm going to go ahead and give New England 10 points. But I do believe that we do win this game 20-10. Chiefs. It ain't going to be nothing spectacular because we should beat the crap out of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, some guys are going to start looking like they're coming around. But you got to remember who they playing against.
Right.
I mean, their record is that because, you know, personnel, coaching, whatever. Your fans are horrible. Whatever it is, we're going down that tube as opposed to going up. We're headed towards that way.
Yeah.
And our name alone just make people want to kick our ass. You know what I'm saying? So
No, you're right.
we just gotta know that going in. We can't afford to start games off slow.
Tonight was the 6th time this season the Chiefs scored less than 20 points. It is the 3rd time in their last 4 games. And the 6 times they've scored less than 20, that's twice as many times they've scored over 30 this season. Look, man, I expected this offense to struggle this season. I didn't expect it to be this bad. I didn't expect it to be where they literally can't score 20 points. And if they do, we think they're having a good night. I understand that league-wide offenses are struggling. We've seen back-to-back weeks now where a team literally didn't score a single point. Both, ironically, were in the AFC West. But that is not the standard we hold the Chiefs to. As I've told you guys week after week after week, I hold this team to a Super Bowl standard, not just because they've won Super Bowls and have been to 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. It's because they have the best head coach quarterback duo in the league. And this team has been winning 12 to 14 games a season. There's a different standard here. You can sit here and try to come up with excuses or reasons or whatever you want to come up with. The fact is, this team has disappointed us. They have been a disappointment this season. Yes, they will probably still make the playoffs. Yes, they might even get to the AFC Championship. But you can't sit here and tell me that this team gives you the same amount of confidence they've given you in the past, even when they've struggled in the past. We saw the 2019 team that won the Super Bowl start off 6-4. Patrick Mahomes had a knee that went the wrong way. We thought that, that season might blow up in their face. But the difference between that team and this team is they had guys that were able to make a difference in the wide receiver room, in the receiving game. It wasn't Travis Kelce, and every once in a while Rashee Rice makes a big play. No, they had guys. They had a star at wide receiver. And even last season, they had a Juju that could make consistent efforts, that was out there and was reliable, and it took everybody else down a peg. Even though Rashee Rice is playing good football, we know he's not ready to be that guy just yet. He doesn't know the offense like that yet. He's not a veteran player yet. He's productive, but he doesn't bring down MVS a peg. He doesn't bring down Justin Watson a peg. Juju does. Tyreek does. And neither of those guys are here. And you're seeing the offense suffer because of it. You're seeing this team suffer because of it. So I'm willing to be proven wrong. I'm willing to sit here and tell you guys that I doubted this team. And look, they're in the Super Bowl, and we think they can win it now. Things could change in a month. Sure. And I do expect the Chiefs to win some games in the next month. But this game, this tonight, was what I was looking at. And I think everybody deep down was looking at this game as to whether to decide whether they felt this team is still a legitimate Super Bowl contender or not, even with the AFC being down. This Chiefs team has given us no reason to believe that they could go on a run in the playoffs when they can't win games like this, when they've had multiple opportunities to do so against a team they know they should beat, they know they can knock out of the playoffs, they know gives them real problems, and they still squandered it by a lack of execution, by a lack of discipline, with multiple turnovers, with costly penalties. They got to win our confidence back. I want to be a homer just like everybody else. I want to sit here. I know Book, I know Trevor would love nothing more to be sitting here firing up stogies, talking about how the Chiefs just knocked the Bills out of the damn playoffs, and the Chiefs are back, baby. They just won 31-20 or something like that. Even if it was ugly, they win the game. But we're sitting here talking about another frustrating loss because of one bad play, because of one bad decision, because one error, mental mistake. That's what costs teams championships. That's what costs teams from being able to get to championships. Parting comments, Trevor? Book, I know you gave your prediction. I'm going to give you guys the floor one more time before we get out of here. Moving forward in this week, Trevor, in your opinion, how does the team get refocused? Because, yes, the Patriots are a shitty team. The Chiefs should win that game just by showing up. But what are they going to need to work on the most over these next 4 weeks if they even hope to have a shot at getting back into Super Bowl contention? I'm going to ask you both that same question. So, Trevor and then Book.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to keep it simple and straight to the point and what it's been this whole season. The Chiefs are who they are, right? This team's not going to magically get better. I'm not expecting this team to improve on anything. I'm not expecting the drops to stop. I'm not expecting the turnovers to stop. I'm not expecting us to dig ourselves in a hole and try to find our way out of it at the end of every single game in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth. This is who we are. The difference is we used to find ways to win these kind of games, and now we're losing all of these kind of games. People used to say it was a skill set that the Chiefs had to win games late and win games coming from behind. We can't afford to put ourselves in a hole anymore. As great as Patrick is, this lack of consistency and this lack of talent and this lack of discipline and these pass catchers on this team are going to hold Patrick's greatness back this season. And it feels like a season that's lost. Anything can happen when we make the postseason. I get that. But I tend to be I like to call myself a serial optimist. I tend to be very optimistic when it comes to most things. And for good reason, because the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, Brett Veach, have given me no real reason to doubt them and to be pessimistic and not optimistic in these scenarios. But that's changed this season because we now have the majority of the season as a sample size to identify what this team is and what this team does in crunch moments and big moments, and we beat ourselves almost every single time. So for me, man, this is bad. This is not looking good. Whatever seed we get, at this point, I don't care. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna have me a drink on a Sunday. Whatever happens, happens. And I'm done stressing over this team for the season. I'm done stressing over it. Whatever happens, happens, man. Bro, this is not a Super Bowl team right now, and I'm not gonna stress it as if we need to fight for that. Not me personally. I'm not gonna raise my blood pressure on the Sundays anymore. Whatever, I'm gonna kick back. Whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna put some bets in and hope some other teams make me happy because this team continues to let us down. And as a fan, it's very frustrating. And we've set the bar high. Obviously, there's a standard here in Kansas City. This is a championship standard here. That's out the window this season. This is a team that's a wild card team at best, hoping to make a run in the postseason. And if you anybody out there thinks we're going to make a run, please identify what that looks like, how that's going to happen, who's going to be the guy, what coaching changes, what play calling changes, what discipline miraculously gets fixed on this team that makes that a possibility. Because I don't see it. I'm very optimistic most of the times, but I'm on the pessimistic side of this right now. So for me, man, it's doom and gloom. The sky is absolutely falling. It's fallen, and I got nothing else, man.
What about you, Book?
Well, first of all, I think at this point in time, we just got to admit to ourselves we aren't good. We're not a good football team. We're better than a lot of other NFL teams, but for us, we're not a good team. We expect more than this, and it's gotten to the point to where we don't know what else to do. Our leadership has failed us from every level, from the head coaches to the OCs, DCs to the captains on the field and just big-time players. Everybody has failed us. We have no discipline. It's embarrassing.
Well, nobody's being held accountable either.
No, nobody. I mean, everybody just go back and be like, we'll just move on and it'll get better as we go. Nothing has changed for the better for us.
Yeah.
At the best we could do right now, and I'm not even saying we have enough time to even do this, we have to go and just reset. You know, when things get out of hand, sometimes you just got to go back to your last restore moment. and when you was the last time you was collectively a team, collectively we were doing great. Go back to that moment and build from there, because the things we're doing right now, our offensive play calling is almost predictable for me. I don't know, it's because I did play. I'm reading formations. I'm calling out plays. I'm screaming at my lady. Right. And she knows the bare minimum of football. She know what I'm talking about, but you know. So I'm just frustrated, man. I don't know what we could do. I know that, like you said, I feel like we wasted a year of the greatness of Patrick Mahomes and also Kelsey. I've never seen Kelsey look more disturbed this year. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he's still making great plays for us, but you know, some injuries, he get up a little slower. He'll be back, but he's getting up a little slower. He's not as chipper as he usually is. It really got to be a big play to get that out of him now. You know what I'm saying? Especially if Taylor's there, he want that. So, but collectively, man, I'm scared for us. I don't know how we can turn this around. If we do turn it around, I've never left the bandwagon. You know what I'm saying? I'll never do that. But if we do turn it around, it'll just be a greater moment that I'll be able to have in my memory. I can draw back on whenever I want to all the Bengals fans or whoever else who ain't us. I love those feelings. You know what I'm saying? We can brag because we've done it. Yep. We can't say shit right now.
Nothing. Nothing.
You're 100% correct, Book. You're 100% Trevor. You guys, that's why I wanted to give you guys the floor, because I felt like I did all my bitching at the beginning, and I wanted you guys to get the last piece of, you know, that last pound of flesh, if you will, because it needs to be said. And I know that there's a lot of Chiefs fans out there that don't want to have these conversations, because to that point, there are a lot of Chiefs fans that watch this team because it's an outlet for them. You know, it's more of a casual viewing for them. Trevor, Book, and I are a little bit more on the inside of things because we host a show together. Book, you played this game, so it's a little bit different than maybe the casual viewer. So people maybe wonder why we get so upset or so passionate about it. It's because it's something real to us, man.
Well, and I just want to say this real quick too. It's stunning what big a difference can happen from one season to another. We just won the Super Bowl, right? The past few years, we've been banking on this team to prove us wrong, that they can't win these big games, that they can't let us down. You know what I mean? We've been wanting them. The league has been waiting on us to fall, and everyone's waiting on us to prove ourselves wrong, or to be proven wrong that, you know, we still can't be that team. Now this season, we're waiting for them to prove us wrong that we can win these games, that we can go out there and win the big game when the game is tight and our backs are against the wall. Now we're losing all these games. It's just incredible, bro. We can go from the highest of highs to a couple parades in a couple in 2-3 seasons, have a couple Super Bowl parades, and now we're just hoping to make the bottom of the wild card list here, maybe, and hoping we can beat whoever it is that we happen to match up with in the playoffs. It's just it's a crazy scenario how fast you can fall from the top, man. And you know everyone's cheering for this. Everyone wanted this. You know it's eating us alive in that locker room right now with the guys that have been there and done it. You know, likes of Kelsey and Pat and, you know, and Coach Reed. This is eating them up. And all I can hope is they can muster enough pride to put something together and finish this season strong and make a run. But like I said before on my tangent, I want someone to tell me what that looks like. Because if this is the team that's going to go out there, this is the unit that's going to go out there, I don't see it happening. You know what I mean? We've seen the 8-8 teams, the Giants, go in there, win the Super Bowl. The football's different now, man. You got to go score points.
Well, to your point, Trevor, real quick. You guys remember that stat I love to put out there when, you know, if the Chiefs hold their opponents to fewer than 27 points, they won literally 94% of their games coming into this season. They had 4 losses in 5 years under Patrick Mahomes when they held their opponents to under 27 points. They have 4 losses this season when they hold their opponents under 27 points. There's a real problem here, man. And that's just the reality of it. We have to be able to address that problem. And the problem is the guys that are making the actual decisions didn't. And this is what's bearing fruit. And this is what's happening. Like I told you guys on this show, I was on Arrowhead Allies, another Starcade Media show. This last week, we were predicting this game. I was with Clint Switzer. I was with Noah Groniger, Shaggy Shane, Michael Matthew. And the thing I said about this team, what pissed me off about this team coming into this season was winning the Super Bowl last season was both the best and worst thing that could have happened to this team. Winning it the way they did, where Patrick Mahomes went God mode, you know, didn't matter who the wide receiver was, they just found ways to win those games and won the Super Bowl. It justified this mentality for Brett Veach to go cheap once again at wide receiver, where he didn't go out there and spend any real money on a difference-making wide receiver because, hey, they just won the Super Bowl last year with a very, very much bottom 5 wide receiver room with Juju. Then they deduct Juju, don't add another veteran difference maker, and just hope for the best. That's what scared me about this team is they rested on their laurels and said, oh, we won the Super Bowl with that group. Let's just basically make another carbon copy of that group, and we'll just do that again. And like Trevor just said, it changes from one year to the next. You just can't expect that just to roll over from one year to the next. That's not how football works. Book, you know that better than anybody here. Every season there's turnover.
Oh, definitely. I'll double down on what you said. I think that Veach really got spoiled when we gave away or traded away Tyreek Hill and then was able to still win a Super Bowl without him. You know what I'm saying? We had, even though we gave up one of the greatest wide receivers ever to play the game, we had that support system that for the first time, you saw our offense become a more collective team where the balls were getting more spread out. Yeah, Travis still going to get his thing. Juju showing up. You know, we got other players just showing up for us where the room was never in question. I think he really got greedy thinking that he could have got rid of even that support cast that we had after losing Tyreek and then just starting from scratch and really trying to show his, you know, master self in effect. But it failed. It failed big time. The guys he got rid of, he did not replace them, not even halfway equally thus far. So I think we just got greedy. We don't have the supporting cast in that wide receiver room. It's not going to change this season. Are they going to still make some big plays here and there? But I just think the detriment that they've already proven to us is going to continue, and it's going to be our downfall.
I tend to agree with you. and I think Trevor does as well. And that really sucks to say because we had high hopes coming into this season. Even though like we said, we were very worried about this wide receiver room. We felt that this team could overcome it. But you can't overcome a lack of execution. You can't overcome a lack of discipline. You can't overcome drops and big moments and penalties and big moments. You just can't overcome it. No team can. And that's just the sad reality of things. So the Chiefs are 8-5. Moving into Week 15, going up to New England to take on the Patriots. It's going to be exciting to see how that one goes. Should be a Chiefs victory, but at this point, man, this team just does not get the benefit of the doubt in any regard for me. They need to like Book said, reset themselves, figure this out. But yeah, they to me have lost a lot of belief, and I hope they can regain it. But we're 13 games into this thing. I think we know, like Trevor said, we know what we are. We know what this team is, and we just have to accept that right now. So Patrick Mahomes is still great. Maybe he can find a way to be that godlike figure again. But it's really unfair for him to have to be asked to do that again, like I said before the season began. But what do I know? So for Trevor Twidwell, for Mr. Vaughn Big Book Booker, we always appreciate all the contributions we have here for our entire Starcade Media family and for everybody that's watched and chimed in tonight and has watched and chimed in on every show that we've done to this point. We really do appreciate you guys. This is Chattin of the Chiefs postgame show. Hopefully you guys will join us in 1 week's time as we talk about hopefully a Chiefs victory, and like Book said, a 10-point Chiefs victory. Let's hope for it. But in the meantime, you guys enjoy your week. Hope you guys are having a great, safe holiday season. We appreciate all you guys. We love you guys. Have a great week. We'll talk to you in a week's time.
Later.
Peace.
All right, fellas.